all the time, but you know, she's like, yeah, come in whenever you're ready. So I came. Well, she just come back from A&W with food, so they ate first, you know, and then yeah. Then you gotta wait in between coats because it's got like 4 coats of stuff on it. It's got a base coat, base coat, and then the tip, and then the 2 coats of the color and the long top coat. So long top, and then you gotta walk around like this. Yeah, it's not so long.
Someone asked them questions, and the gal that was doing the feed, and it was like, you know, she didn't know what she was saying, so she looked to somebody else, and then they instead of like the story, she talked about it. She didn't hear. She actually was diagnosed probably 4 years ago.
Can everybody hear me without using the mic? I'm not one for mics. So if there's no objections, I will not use this mic. Thank you all for coming today. We came here for a celebration of life for Scott VanWey's. Scott VanWey's, a real Vinton, died December 22nd, 2017 from a rare, deadly type of thyroid cancer. He was born in Shellsburg, Iowa on July 11th, my birthday, in 1963. The oldest of 5 children, he attended Valley High School in Elgin, Iowa. He was always a hard worker and took a lot of pride in whatever he did. He did drywall hanging, finishing, and painting most of his life. He had also worked as a mechanic and did electrical work. Since the windstorm in 2011, he was employed at Elric Electric in Vinton, which he often said was the most enjoyable job he had ever had. Scott loved motorcycles and liked to work on them, and most of all, loved to ride them. He met and made a lot of good friends through the bikes. He also had a big soft spot for kids and animals. The past few years, he enjoyed volunteering for the Inner City Slickers, a program for at-risk youth, and did a lot of fundraising for the Vinton Shellsburg Special Olympics program. He had a horse and enjoyed trail riding with Becky, and he really loved his dogs, as you can all see in the pictures back there. Scott is survived by his wife of 17 years, Becky, 1 son, Travis, his mother and stepfather, Gene and Jack Greenwood, of San Angelo, Texas, 1 sister, Jill Taylor, also of San Angelo, 3 brothers, Larry VanWey of Dallas, Texas, Mark VanWey of Greenville, Texas, and Greg Jackie VanWey of Westminster, Colorado. A stepson, Josh and Mindy Clark of Vinton. In-laws, Robert and Phyllis Schumacher of Vinton. Brother-in-law, Kevin and Daniel Schumacher of Cedar Rapids, and several nieces and nephews. He is preceded in death by his father, Richard VanWey, his grandparents, Irma and John VanWey, and Viola and Kenneth Helen. I have 3 scriptures, short scriptures I would like to read that kind of sums up Scott. The first one is from John, chapter 14, verses 2 and 3. In my Father's house there are many mansions, and if it was not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you, and if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you myself, and that where I am, therefore you will also be. The second one is Revelations 21:4. And God wiped away every tear from their eyes. There shall be no more death, nor sorrow, nor crying. There shall be no more pain, and for the former things have passed away. And the last one is from Isaiah 40:31. But those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not be faint. With that, we'll have a small, short prayer. Please bow your head. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to celebrate the life of Scott VanWey's. For those who knew him well, we ask that you lift their hearts in joy, not sorrow. We ask for only the good memories of this man. We ask that you return everybody safely to their homes and keep the memory of him, Scott VanWey's, in our hearts, tucked away in that special place. We ask this in your Son's most precious name, Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. Come. Now we'll turn it over to Mark.
I'm probably the last guy you thought you'd see today up here. For those that don't know me, my name is Mark Fittner, and I'm a friend of Becky and Scott. I want to thank everybody for coming on this cold winter day for a celebration of life. That's exactly what this is today, because that's what Scott wanted. Scott was a big, strong guy with a big heart. He was a hard worker, pretty skilled at what he did. He took a lot of pride in his work, and if there was something he wanted to learn, he'd study it and figure out how to do it. One day he thought Becky should have a barn for her horses, so now Becky's thinking 3 walls and a roof. Scott was going to build Taj Mahal of horse barns. They had some help with putting up the trusses, they had some help with putting on the roof steel, and they hired the concrete done, and Scott did everything else with his own 2 hands. Scott really worked hard and did a lot of side jobs to make extra money. It wasn't because they needed the money, it was Scott's mad money. Scott lived under the philosophy of whoever dies with the most toys wins. Becky thought it was just an excuse to buy more tools. When Scott was about 6, the circus came to town, and they were looking for kids to school. Elephant dumb. Don't set your sights too high here. Scott said that was the first real paying job he ever had. Scott's dad did drywall and started teaching Scott how to spot screws for him around the age of 12. Scott always liked to help people out, whether it was to loan people money or help with a construction project. And as the previous speakers said, Scott liked working and volunteering with the Inner City Slickers in the Shellsburg Special Olympics program. Scott loved his motorcycles and made a lot of good friends that shared the same interests. He enjoyed working on the bikes, but he especially liked to ride them. He really looked forward to his Wednesday night rides with his friends, who he called the Chocolate Milk Motorcycle Club. I was not a card-carrying member. I'm lactose intolerant. Chocolate milk and bikes do not mix. He also enjoyed horseback riding with Becky, but not nearly as much as he enjoyed riding bikes. He He had his own horse and did a lot of training himself. Scott also really, really loved his dogs. Max, Pete, Zira, and Scout. Nobody actually needs 4 dogs. But nobody else wanted them. Scott thought they needed some love too. It was a good thing he never worked at an animal shelter, or Scott and Becky's house would have been a kennel. Family was important to Scott, and since most of his family lived out of state, they would take vacation time to go visit. They planned that they were going to do sightseeing along the way. But once they got in the car, Scott was so excited to get there, he'd drive 12 or 14 hours just stopping for fuel. Needless to say, when they got there, they weren't real rested. Scott was diagnosed with cancer on July 11th, his birthday. He tried to beat the odds and endured 7 weeks of chemotherapy and radiation. Sadly, it did not prove to be effective. One day he said to Becky, "We need to discuss funeral plans." He said he didn't want a traditional funeral, he wanted more of a celebration of life. Here we are today. He didn't want a lot of money spent on a casket or a vault. He said to Becky, "I want you to put me in a smoker." Now, could you imagine the look on Becky's face? Like, here are the headlights. So, not being sure if she knew what he meant, she says, "You want to be cremated?" He said, "Yes, put me in a smoker and smoke me. You can put my ashes in a Sportster tank." We all wish the treatment had been effective and we could have more time together. We would all prefer today to be talking to Scott and speaking about him. Maybe they just needed a guy with big, strong hands and a good sense of humor to help out in heaven. That's right. Scott Allen VanWey's, July 11th, 1963, December 22nd, 2017. For it matters not how much we own, the cars, the cash. What matters is how we live and love and how we spend our dash. So think about this long and hard. Are there things you'd like to change? For you never know how much time is left. It can still be rearranged. If we could just slow down enough to consider what is true and real, and always try to understand the way other people feel. Be less to anger and show appreciation more, and love the people in our life like we've never loved before. If we treat each other with respect and more often with a smile, remembering that this special dash might only last a little while. So when your eulogy is being read with your life's actions to rehash, would you be proud of the things they say about how you spent your dash? Scott, we love you. First met Scott on December 21st, 2005. And then we met again on February 9th, 2006. And then we met again March 10th. By now I'm thinking this guy really likes me. Now I'm a firm believer that things happen for a reason. Scott and I have been friends ever since. Now we weren't the type of friends that maybe saw each other every day or spoke every day or were at each other's houses. But we would bump into each other by happenstance at Mickey D's. Or if I saw his truck sitting there, I'd pull in and I'd have lunch with him. I could never figure out how this guy could eat cheeseburgers every day of his life. So then I asked Becky. Becky said, "It's simple, he's tight." I always like to pull things up. December 3rd, my wife and I were going to dress up as Santa and Elf and go pay Scott and Becky a visit in the hospital. So that week, before that weekend, I'm texting back and forth to Becky. So the morning of the event, I text Becky and said, "Are we still on?" And I get this response back that I felt was a little odd. "I guess so." So I text back and I said, "Hey, we don't have to do this. Brother." She goes, "No, I think you'd like it." Well, anyway, we get down there, come to find out, Becky had stepped out of the room. Scott had used Becky's cell phone. Saw the text that I sent her, was still on. Saw all the previous texts, so now he knows what's going on. Becky takes her phone back, looks at it, sees my text, "Are we still on?" and says to Scott, "If you're good, maybe Santa will come see you." And Scott says, "So flipping Santa." Santa gave Scott a lump of coal. On December 19th, in Scott's final days, I visited him, and I was getting ready to leave. I knelt down next to his chair, held his hand, I told him it was an honor to call him a friend. Told him that I loved him, and that there was a beautiful place waiting for him, and it was okay for him to go. I leaned over and kissed him on his forehead, and what happened next was priceless. He opened his eyes wide. I said, "We were expecting that, were you?" He shook his head no and closed his eyes. I think I actually put him in a shock. Scout, my brother, until we ride again. The family would like anybody in the audience, if they've got something they'd like to say about Scott, now's the time. If you want, you can stand up. If you want the microphone, I'll bring the microphone to you. Let's not be shy, folks. That's why we're here. Go ahead.
Does the mic work? Yeah. Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
So I'm Scott's youngest brother, and a little bit something how he felt to me. The thing I know most about him is just the laugh. It's like, ah! It's just like so big and bold. The laugh. Hard to laugh for real now, but just the laughing and the emotion and the excitement he would have with that. And I'm sure all of you, well, not all of you, you're either here because you have an emotional relationship with him, or you have an emotional relationship with someone who does. So thank you all for being here, first of all. The community here is amazing. He was so lucky to have all of you people. I mean, we came up for that motorcycle rally, and I was like, I think I would have like my son, maybe, in a motorcycle rally for me, but this was crazy. It was very inspirational. One of the best, for me, one of the best things I've ever done. It was awesome. So, and I've seen him, well, he called me and he said, I'm dying. I said, well, you want to go see your mom? He said, yeah. So he flies out to Denver, we get in the car, we start heading to Texas. We only made one stop in Colorado on the way out. It was the pot shop. So we got some gummies. He said they were awesome. And then we go down. We go through New Mexico, and together we saw the most beautiful sunset I've ever seen. It just had some rain. It was just clouds and rain and this rainbow, and then to the left, the sun's setting on the west, but there was mountains all over the east. They were all red and glowing. It was awesome. It was so inspirational to share that moment with him. And then he stops. He's like, "You should take a picture." So we did, and it was just awesome. And then, but Becky is the real hero in all this. And he would tell me, he'd call me and go, "I love you. I do love Becky more." I said, "You should. You should." So I saw him at the, that one moment you see a big burly man, and I saw it as at their house, and he just stands up and he's like, just does this. And just his head on her shoulder. He just let everything go. It was awesome. Becky, you are awesome. Thank you. loves this man. They would take motorcycle rides together, and I wasn't invited at the time. You know, and they'd come up and have little shit-ass grins on their face. And they had a great time. I'm happy that they had that. You know, and his sister, and me and my son, we have a relationship, super bonding, because he got us into motorcycles. He's like, I'm coming to Colorado, I'm riding motorcycles, so are you coming with me? I'm like, so we go and take lessons, and learn how to ride, you know. So now we got a couple bikes each, and he's addicted to it, and now I understand the culture that he was wanting us to get involved with all the people and the culture that brought. Those people, I never thought of them as more than just a bunch of bikers, but they're like special people. So I was so happy he had all of that in his life. You know, now we get to share that because he brought us into it. So it's just amazing. And so, Mom, I know he loves you. You know, you're right there. If I said, you want to see Mom? He's like, won't be gone. I'm glad he got to go see her while he was still, you know, healthy. He was eating soft foods, but he was healthy. Yeah. So, other than that, if you knew him, you would just know that you should probably laugh more. That's what my wife says. She goes, the one thing I'm taking away from him, I'm going to laugh out loud. And I don't care. I'm just going to laugh out loud. So, if anything you can take from him, you know, that affected you in a special way, just use it. So, anyway, I love him and I'm going to miss him. Thank you.
I'm Brenda Gardner. My husband Pat and I got to know Scott and Becky when we were showing horses when our kids were kids. And we started an organization, we were fortunate enough to start an organization called Inner City Slickers at our home. And it involves taking children in and having groups, and then we build confidence through cowboy ethics. You know, we treat them like our own, and through kindness and just being decent to them. You can see the change in them every day. Well, so I asked Scott and Becky to help us. We needed volunteers and we needed good horses. And I was a little bit hesitant to say, hey, why don't you come for 8 hours and help us out here? Bring your horse, by the way. And so I asked Scott, and he was so enthusiastic, and it made it so easy. And he was such a good volunteer and so good to the kids. He taught them so much, and you could tell that they respected him. He'd sit with them at lunch and visit with them. And then when it was time to ride the horses, all the kids just migrated to him and his horse. And at first I thought it was because they liked Kid, but then I realized that it was a good combination of Kid and Scott that they wanted to be around. And so I was looking for things, you know, Scott just had such compassion for the kids and for everybody that was involved, animals, kids, Becky, he loved it all. But I read this thing from Al Capone, and it said, don't mistake my kindness for weakness. I'm kind to everyone, but when someone is unkind to me, weak is not what you're going to remember me by. It reminded me of Scott. We're going to miss him, and I'm going to miss him every time I see Kid. Thank you.
That are sitting here, I just like to say heaven floats on 2 wheels. You know what thunder is because of loud pipes. And I'll see my brother again someday. Everybody's here. I can't tell you anything that you don't already know. The only thing I could tell you is every time he told me something, you're going to be a friend, you're going to be a family member, do what you say. Say what you mean. That's all he ever did for me. So I just ask everybody here to never forget. If there's anything you can do for Becky, I'd hope we'd all be in a foot race. So, thank you.
I've known Scott quite as long as many of you have, but fortunately I was able to have a pretty good friendship with him. When I first met him, actually even before I first met him, I knew his son. And his son had me come out to Becky and Scott's place and showed me this old bike that was sitting in a shed, covered in rust. I didn't know the whole story behind it, but he asked me if I could, maybe sometime take that bike and redo it for Scott. Told him I would, and kind of left it at that, never really talked about it again after that. So a few years later, here comes this guy to my house, and come to talk to me, and before I even have a chance to talk to him, my son comes out, Zach, right away. Hey, my name's Zach. Who are you? Oh, I'm Scott. Scott who? Scott VanWey's. And I looked, and I thought, wait, is this the same guy? And they just kept talking and talking and talking, and after a while I was like, am I getting a chance to talk here? Or what? Right away, I noticed Scott just took a liking to Zach and everything, and to me, that's important. And I knew that from that moment right there that this was a good man, and someone that I wanted to get to know better and spend more time with and have more time with. So we talked and everything, and I ended up going out to his place, and here's his bike. He's got it already most of the way redone. It was beautiful. I was just beside myself. Ended up doing a little work to it, finally got it running and everything, and we were able to take it out. He goes, come on, let's ride out to Anamosa. So off we go. Now here's this big guy riding on this bike, and we're just hauling. We're going like crazy, and the faster we go, the bigger his smile. And I bet if Becky knew how fast we're going, she probably wouldn't be very happy. We made it there pretty quick and got back pretty quick. It was a good ride. And did a lot of things with them. Ride horses. Sorry, it's kind of hard. But yeah. I'll ride horses and stuff with him. He tells me, right, we're going to have a big bonfire. He wasn't kidding about big. I think half the tree behind the bonfire is about gone too. That was a great time, and he was always about that. Come out, spend time with family, bring your kids. Always have the kids along. We'll have hot chocolate for him, food for him. He was always thoughtful. He worked hard. Every time I try to get a hold of him, hey, let's go for a ride. I got this side job or that side job, and I'm going to do this. And all right, we'll catch up sometime or another. But we always did. He'd stop by, we'd talk. We'd go for rides here and there. And then one day he stops by and he says, we got to talk. Yeah, what's up, bro? I got cancer. And I stood there and I almost felt like an ass because I didn't know what to say. I just kind of looked and couldn't believe it. Everything that he did for my family, I tried to pay that back to him 100%. Spent about every day at the hospital with him. It wasn't easy. A lot of hard times, a lot of happy times too. Thanksgiving Day, I was able to take him for another ride. I would have passed that up for nothing. It's a great day for him, a great day for me. I think it was a great day for everybody involved. I'm gonna miss him. I always thought, we talked and everything, we always talked about riding on Christmas Day. He always thought I was crazy because every Christmas I take my bike out for day. So he says, Christmas, I'm riding with you. So we agreed. Christmas Day, we're all going to ride together one more time. about a week before Christmas came, he sits me down one morning before Becky even gets to the hospital and says, "Mike, I'm sorry. I'm not going to make it for Christmas." And I just thought to myself, no, we're going to make it. You already knew. You'll always be in my thoughts. I still want to talk to him. I had stuff happen over the weekend. I wish I could have talked to him. I wasn't able to. But even though I'm not able to talk to him, he's always there. He'll be looking over all of us, hoping that we're all having a good time, we're all having fun, and just to keep him in his memories. So, thank you everybody for coming. Really appreciate it.
You want to stand up? Go for it.
I'm not a very good speaker, so I wrote mine down on paper. I met our brother-in-law, Scott, over 18 years ago. His humor, wisdom, and kind personality captured our hearts. His many talents and hobbies made him a very interesting and likable person. Scott loved life and worked hard. His dedication to family, friends, colleagues, and clients caused him to be loved and admired by many throughout the community and beyond. Scott was a much loved and very important member of our family. We see him as an extraordinary man. Countless memories, videos, and pictures will ensure that Scott lives on in our lives, hearts, and minds forever. May God bless Scott.
I'll say something next. That was my wife, Danielle. I'm Becky's brother, Kevin, and I never really knew Scott all that well. You know, over the years, you know, we'd see him for holidays and family get-togethers, and you know, he talked about work and you know, just enjoyed food and company, and till about the last month or so that he was alive, I got to know him a little bit better. Went and visited him in the hospital 2 or 3 times, and the last week that he was alive, the Monday before he passed away, Danielle and I stayed in his room with him overnight, so somebody could be there with him. You know, Becky needed a break, so we spent some time with him. We got there and he said, you know, play your guitar for me. And I'm like, oh, you want to hear my guitar? I'll go home and get it. You know, we just drive across town, and came back, and I started playing my guitar, and he wanted to play. He said he took some lessons when he was young, and he wanted to see if he'd remember anything, and so I handed it over to him, and he didn't remember anything. But I tried to teach him some chords, and you know, I thought, well, it's kind of late now, but you know, we'll try. He tried it for about a half an hour. His fingers wouldn't quite, you know, go where they were supposed to, but he tried it for about a half an hour or so. But anyway, that's what I'll remember about Scott, that, you know, he wasn't afraid to try anything, you know. He's like, well, it's now or never, you know. And thing that I always remember about Scott is, you know, that, you know, even, you know, I don't think I ever remember anybody else ever being able to, you know, when he was around, she was just happy. You know, he made Becky happy, and that's what I remember most about him. That I thought, well, this is a good thing. So, we'll miss him.
I'm going to try to speak. My voice doesn't carry very well, so you guys can probably hear me. So, I'm Scott's sister, Jill. I live in the city of Chilliwack, and I grew up with all boys. And I have lots and lots of things as I was sitting here listening to everybody. Just everything just started coming to me. Well, this and this about Scott. The first thing I remember in our relationship, growing up, he was a year older than me, was him telling me about Santa Claus because he got told.
Oh, no.
And, oh, sorry. Oh. Can you guys hear me? Anyway, so it was at that moment his little sneaky, or not, it wasn't ever sneaky, but it was just mischievous what Greg was talking about. And I saw it on that video over there, and I was like, it was that laugh so hard your head goes down and you come up. And I'm like, I love that. I miss that. I mean, he brought that to my girls, and he taught them about the tickle bug. And he just, every time he would come to see them, it was like they knew they were going to get tickled to death. And he would just charm them so much, and they loved him so much, and they're really sad they couldn't be here today. And he had a special gift with babies, a special gift with children. And when he came down to Texas, my grandson, who typically only wants his Mimi, was like, see ya, and he went right to Scott, basically a little one. At that time, I guess he was probably about a year old, a little over a year. But he sat with him all day watching football, and Scott I knew he didn't feel good at the time. It was so sweet, so patient, and they had this little thing going all day, which I thought it was just beautiful to watch. But he was just, the way I would describe him or the way I feel about him was that never afraid to try anything. One of his goals when he was young was to hitchhike across the country. And I'm sure he got to know the same. And it was fun hearing his stories. He had no fear. You know, it was just, well, why wouldn't you do it? And growing up, every school night, I would take every book home from school. And I'd carry them in, and he'd be like, why are you taking all those books home? And I'm like, I have to study. And he's like, well, didn't you pay attention in class? And I'm like, and he had a photographic memory. He was extremely intelligent and extremely smart, and if he saw it once, that was good enough. And so he would tease me a lot, about why I would carry all those books home. I think with my best friends Caroline and I, he taught us one of our first cat scratch fever dances. We were good at that. He was the best, one of the best. I put him and probably Larry together on, if you wanted a good snowmobile ride, you went with one of those three. So they were going to jump the fences, and I was going to ride on the back of one of them. I wasn't gutsy enough to do what they could do, but I wanted to join them. So he got the first car, of course, so he got to drive to school. If you got lucky and you could give him a buck, you could get some gas and go with him. And he would put the car in neutral so he could coast down the big hill so he could conserve the gas. So when they said he was tight, it wasn't a bad thing. It was very easy. extreme frugal. Unless it was something he really wanted to have or something, but he just had this, the most infectious laugh and smile, and from the gut, love, or from the gut, that he just thought it was so funny. His favorite thing going on, I don't know if you know this, was Monty Python. And I was talking to one guy about that the other day, and they're like, only extremely intelligent people like Monty Python. And I always held him up here on that level of brilliance. You know, he just was so, he could learn anything, he could do anything, he was never afraid to do anything, he lived life. So all of these bracelets and all of those things are so cool because he just did it. You know, I go to work, I go home, I go to work, I go home. He lived a life. And so with his passing, it is a real shock to me to go, okay, this is ridiculous. So I remember when we went to hospice, I was like super slammed at work, and I was like, oh, do I go? And I was like, this is stupid, go. And it was one of the sweetest, most beautiful times I've ever spent with a human being in my life. It was like God had planned this trip so completely. I was really stressed out. I had some stressful things going on in my life. And I was staying at a hotel because I had a meeting in Dallas. I had to stay at this hotel and catch a flight. And I met two people who I felt, it was almost like a movie, like they were angels. And then I got to see Scott, and he was the most, it was like he was a walking angel. And so we got to spend a couple of days just a lot one-on-one and talk about a few different things. His love for Becky was always at the top of the list, and she's the most amazing woman in the whole world. And, you know, I mean, he believed that with all of his heart. And I thought to be loved like that would be so amazing. But he did definitely love Becky like that. I bought him a Christmas hat that said naughty and nice on the front and back, and so he immediately had to put that on. And we went through the halls of the hospice unit, and I was talking away to him. He's like, Jill, shh, you do realize this is a hospice unit. And so we're going through at the hospice unit. There was a rehab area there. So they were in the middle of doing a lot of patients at that time. Scott and I are walking through, and he sees this guy who is learning how to walk. I mean, you could tell he might have had a hip replacement or something. It wasn't real, you could tell it wasn't real major, but he was having to do that. The guy was sitting there, and Scott stopped to talk to him. And he's like, well, how are you doing? And the guy was annoyed. He did not want to be talked to. He was in a bad mood, and you could tell. And Scott was like, what was it, 609? What was his rank? In any event, I can sense immediately this guy is like, get on with it. I think he even went like this. And Scott was like, you know, a couple months ago I couldn't walk either. He goes, you're gonna do this. I know you can do this. And the guy's like, you know, Scott's not getting the hint. And Scott's like, you know what? I am down in room 609. I've got a bunch of movies. Come down. You can join. And the guy's like that. You know, Scott's like, you can watch a movie with me. You know, he goes, I've got westerns, I've got funny ones, I've got whatever you want. Just come on down. The guy's like, yeah. I was down there a while myself. I know where it's at. And Scott, this guy was just ornery. Mad at the world, whatever. Scott never lost his composure, and he was just so sweet to me. He goes, well, I'll pray for you, and I hope you get better. And we walked by, and I was going to be a little bit snippy about it, because I was a little irritated that that guy was not being kind back to Scott. And so we're walking along down there, and I was like, man, that guy really kind of had an attitude. I said, yeah, he did, didn't he? But that's, you know, that's okay. Maybe he'll join me for a movie, or he just did not affect him. And I was like, oh my gosh, if all of us could always just absorb that kindness, regardless of what somebody else is giving out to us. I was just, it was like this warm feeling went all over me. I was like, and he said, Jill, I just want to be a better man. And I was like, okay, you know, I mean, I know we're struggling here for days, and then he's like, I just want to be better. And it was just so beautiful. I mean, he went around to every single person. How are you? And I was like, it was just such something that you just, the feeling of love unconditionally to others was such a good lesson. And such, I mean, he wasn't bitter, he wasn't mad, he wasn't like, this is not fair, you know, that a lot of people take. He was still at his very last day trying to be a better man. And I was like, I love that. I just thought that was so cool. So while I stayed with him, he insisted I slept in his hospital bed. And I was like, oh, that's weird. You know, I don't want the nurses to think here comes this sister from Texas who kicks her brother out of bed. He's got to sleep in the recliner. But he was so charming, so sweet, and it was just so wonderful to think somebody would take the time in his physical condition and mental of how he was feeling to worry about me. And I was like, oh, dang, I love you, you know, and he made sure the curtain was pulled and I had my own little room, and, you know, it was just so thoughtful. And so the day I had to leave, as everybody knows, I overpack always. And so I had my luggage. He made sure ahead of time that the male nurse was going to be available to help me with my luggage. And so it's like, I don't know, 4:30 in the morning, I had to catch a cab. Well, the cab driver was like 5 minutes late. He was livid. He was going to contact the chamber. He was going to contact everybody for the disrespect they did to his sister. And I was like, it's going to be okay. It's like, this is, you know, just not the right thing to do. And, you know, even that was just your big brother having that compassion and caring so much for you. And so he ended up taking one of my suitcases, and the male nurse took one of my suitcases. He was insistent upon it, which I'm like, okay. You know, I'm feeling really guilty here about not doing this, but the cab driver came up, and it's freaking cold in Iowa, and it was cold there early morning, and he starts taking my luggage to the taxi, and I'm like, Scott, I'm like, go back inside. And he's like, what? And I'm like, I don't want you to catch pneumonia. He's like, really? Okay, I love you. And we gave each other a hug and a kiss goodbye. But there are moments in your life to be blessed with. And that time that I got will definitely make me a better person. And hopefully one day I get to love it. It'll always be around you. And it's just so nice to know that Kate loves somebody family, that they just 100% unconditionally loved you and was grateful for everything you did for them. We love you. And I know he was very, very big on family, as far as blood and all that kind of stuff. And we need to do this, we need to do that. And he was the one always that kind of kept connections, you know, kind of with everybody, that person. And, you know, nobody's perfect. He certainly wasn't. But if you want to go out and live life, I think he would be smiling down at you and going, good job. Thanks for coming. We love you guys. Greg couldn't have said it better, that we've all been extremely overwhelmed by the friendships from the guys that have spoke. He was adamant about how much he loved you guys when he talked to me, and your son. And that was a big deal to him and to Mark, and how much he loved Mom. And it was just, I don't know, I'm rambling now and I apologize, but I just want to tell you that you've made an impression on lots and lots of people. You're an amazing community that still does things for people that people don't do where we live and stuff. People don't have that kind of connection. And our family is very appreciative, and we thank you guys so much.
Come to you today, and we thank you for the celebration of life for our friend Scott. And we thank you for the life he lived, daring and courageous and just plain fun. And we want to thank you that we can all come together and celebrate his life. May we remember him forever. Amen. Okay. You guys can just keep talking. You can enjoy yourself.
She's skinny girl. She's bony. Skinny.
Bony Bonnie. Bony Bonnie.
Gina, how are you?
All right. How are you?
Good.
Good. Yeah. So how are you doing? Gina, yes.
Gina, she's great.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, how are you?
So the top part is Jamie's writing, and in the part
You still don't have any tattoos, do you yet?
handwriting, not me.
Okay,
Jared's handwriting.
just checking. It must be a new generation thing.
I thought I didn't recognize you, Josh. Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen you cleaned up.
Oh, yeah, look at. Well, it's all right.
It's close. You haven't gone
Oh, okay. No.
Oh, yeah.
Say your short prayer, you know.
Say cheese. Oh, that looks yummy.
You know it is.
It smells good.
Who wants the end piece with all the frosting? Look at, you can like have that extra frosting right there. I'll save these two for you, okay?
Hope you washed your hands before you fingered all those cookies.
I just came back from washing my hands. It was antibacterial. I'm not
What time you going to the store today?
Yeah, that's your good teacher. Maybe Monday.
I know. Yeah. Only a pocket. Oh, okay. So you mark the
Sisters.